Number one red flag I was looking for on the dating app, always entitlement. Swear to God, that is if that's what you look for, you can weed out. So let me tell you what entitlement looks like. I used to say laziness, but the laziness is just about entitled. If they are too lazy / entitled to make a decent profile and interact in a decent way with effort on the app, they're definitely not gonna eat you. If that's what you like, some people don't like that. You know what I mean? I literally would ask them, ones who I just want to hook up with, not date, those were separate. Do you eat? It was a great filter question. Because if they're like, yeah, if you suck my, then I'm like, no, you don't understand how this works. Or if they were like, no, that's too intimate, I'm like, oh, okay. And putting your dirty inside of me is not too intimate. Fuck off! Blocked! Because, I mean, come on. The chances of hooking up and women actually enjoying it from a cishet man, because they don't know what they're doing most of the time, because they don't care, it's very small, right? So you have to advocate. I'm a pleasure activist, okay? I bring in my lawyer and she's like, negotiates. She's like, I represent Melanie and her pleasure and taking care of this and the safety of this and all of this stuff. And she wants these terms. Are you going to do this first? Right? Or are you at least going to try your best? Because to me, it's more about effort. Because I always bring my little toy. I always bring my little toy to a hookup because I will not hook up with a man, give him my time, my energy, my body, my la 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 la, for nothing. Them's the rules. My kite rules with an iron fist. And I didn't have my first real until I was 36. I got catching up to do. Really, it's more about I don't feel safe with a man who has entitlement. Because that is like grape culture. I don't really see you as a human being. I want what I want, and I'll do whatever I have to get it. Like, that might be little things like too lazy to write you a message that's thoughtful, or big things like cut off your head. So, I am going to do a whole other video on pleasure activism or whatever. That one will probably be on my Patreon. By the way, I am launching it on Wednesday night. I'm going live with Lauren, amazing person. You've probably seen her before. We're going live at 1 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. my time here in France, probably for an hour. And that one's for everyone. My lives are mostly going to be on Patreon, but this one's for anybody. Well, be there or be square. Unless you're working, you're not square. You have other stuff to do. Anyway, I want to get back to entitlement red flag on the dating apps. Honestly, even like not on the dating apps, just in general. Because I kind of used a lot of my dating filters for like friendships and just any men that I let into my life, or kind of people in general. You know what I mean? Like, this is supposed to be mutually respectful, but let's just focus on dating just as an example. I'm also going to include a link to one of my mutuals. She did a whole list on all the things that she sees as red flags, and they're lined up just with mine, but her video is super funny and I want you to go watch it. I'm just afraid to show anything because of copyright now, so all the weird rules. Okay, one, nothing in your profile. Like, just a few photos, but like nothing interesting. That to me, I used to think it was lazy, which was also a turn off. But then I started to realize, no, that's just entitlement. You think that like you shouldn't have to do anything to impress me. Right out of the gate, you're like, come to me. No effort. You think a man who is too lazy / entitled to write a paragraph on a dating app is gonna eat that, or like do anything, or plan a date, or make effort? You know, my dad gave insulting and just bad advice on a lot of things, but he did say a few gems. And he said in the beginning, men are at their best in the beginning. It only goes downhill from there. What I don't like about that advice is that was me assuming that like that's just normal, and I should expect that. So I'm not here for that. If you do this to impress me, and then you just kind of like, no, because that is the mentality that men think that like marriage is the end game rather than it's a job you could get fired from at any point. I mean, you're less likely to get fired once you actually get married, but men think that like women won't break up with them. That men who think that you don't have respect for yourself, who also feel entitled, they're like, they're the prize and all that mentality, right? No, they always need to know that they could lose this job, and the job being like role active partner in your life. Like, you'll go find someone else to fill that role, or you'll just do that for yourself, right? But there was some truth to what he's saying. And if right out of the gate, a man is so low effort, lazy, and also it's either like, to me, it's entitlement slash like low self-esteem or cockiness, which is like different sides of the same coin. If you are just too lazy or entitled or whatever to fill out something to try to catch my attention, to try to impress me, and you just put like 6'2" in heels, which is like what every dude, I swear to God, every single man makes that same joke. So not creative. Also, you're like making fun of women when you do that. So it's like, yeah, funny, bro. The only reason why women write that in their profile is because we know that you guys are so insecure about your height. So we're actually doing it for you, and then you're mocking us. But whatever, whatever. So no like impressive profile, no good pictures. If they're mirror photos and car photos, you're lazy, which means you're entitled, which means you have low effort out of the gate. Yeah, or you're self-sabotagey. You know, like that is all bad things. All bad things. Also, it means you probably have never dated anybody or don't have any friends in your life who take photos. You don't have any photos of you, then you don't have any women in your life, because women are the memory keepers, which is another form of labor that we take on. We are the memory keepers of the family. And men just have the luxury of just not even thinking about that. Maybe I should capture this moment to show to people I love, or to look back on them and are just like, oh, I'm just gonna live my best life, and the women will just document it for me. So pictures. Like my mutual said, if the pictures doesn't indicate which one you are, that's also like either A, you're just like bad judgment, or B, you're making me do work. You're making me, I'm not Nancy Drew. I don't want to have to figure, I'm not Columbo. I don't want to be out investigating, trying to figure out in all these group photos which one you are. Because chances are either A, again, lazy, putting extra work on me. No, swipe left. Or you are like the least good looking person in all those photos and you're hoping I don't notice. So now you're tricking me, which is a form of coercion. No, thank you. So the profile itself, it's a form of storytelling. It's a story. Now, okay, a caveat to this is you're not going to see stuff like this outside of the US or maybe some countries, but I swear to God, whenever I was hooking up with foreign men, like from all over, and I was like, wow, like it seems like in the US, we're one of the only people that really fill out good profile. But that's because we're always having to sell ourselves. You know, we are an entrepreneur, individualistic, no social security kind of play, no sense of security for anything because of like all of the terrible things that our country was founded on. And like whatever. So yeah, you're not gonna get this. These rules may not apply in another country. I don't know how it is in every single country. I'm just saying like those countries, I did not hold the same rules against foreign men as U.S. American men. A, because of that difference, and B, because they're less likely to have if they're not from the U.S. Like, I'm just really way more scared of U.S. American men, to be honest. So, photo. I don't want you, if you fish, if all your photos are like, you're obsessed with your hobby, then I know you're never going to spend time with me. But if you don't, and you're going to, whatever, we're going to go over hobby. If you don't have any hobbies and it's all like boring photos, I'm going to question, am I going to be your little clown? Am I going to be your entertainment? Do you have a life? Do you have friends? What do you do with all this time? Because it seems like you just don't leave home, which means maybe you're addicted to games, gambling, I don't know. But if they don't put effort in that profile, don't do it. Don't do it. It rarely works out well for you. Let's say they get through, they pass the test of having a decent profile, decent photos, even if they're group photos also. If you have a group photo, I really hope that you are like putting fake sunglasses or something covering up the faces of other people, because so many men are so lazy and disrespectful to their exes that they won't even like cut her out of a photo, right? They won't even like blur her face. So they got a picture of their ex on their dating profiles because they can't take that extra 2 seconds to crop the photo. Entitlement. But like, you could circle it or put an arrow, that's me, or whatever. But seriously, I hope no one has photos of me on their dating apps as like one of your little friends, you know? Like I had a photo of my nieces in one of the photos. It's a good photo and it's a fun photo, but I put a piece of pizza over their head. You know what I mean? I don't like showing children. It's another thing, if these men have kids in their photos, either A, they're a dad. You know what I've been saying about that, looking for someone to raise those kids. Or B, they're like an uncle, but they don't understand the privacy of these children and they are baby baiting you. You know what I mean? Like, just, I don't know, like, whatever. There's exceptions to all these rules. A lot of men really don't understand what they're doing. I actually helped a guy with his profile, a friend of mine. He paid me to. And he was such a great guy. He's so kind. I love this dude. But I was like, oh my God, your profile's a mess. Like, I need you to understand something. And I explained it to him. And didn't take long. You know, his profile was good, but his photos were saying things he didn't realize they were saying. Boom! He is now married with a baby to like the coolest woman. And I'm so happy for her. I'm not taking credit for it. But I'm saying, I'm pretty sure she would have swiped left if she'd seen this terrible profile of his. So even men with terrible profiles, it doesn't mean they're bad dudes. But in this day and age, women can't afford to give men the benefit of the doubt anymore. We just can't. But you know what? This man cared enough. He literally paid me to help him with this. So he understood it's important to have a good profile. So he put money, effort, and time into making a good profile, and he got a great woman. But men who don't care, like they don't care. So don't give these men the benefit of the doubt. There's too many of them. There's too many of them. I mean, maybe, I'm sure there's less in small towns, right? But I'm just saying. Another thing, if these men actually make it through all those firewalls and you match and they start talking to you, if they are not carrying the conversation, stop it now. Stop it now. I'm not saying they have to do all the effort, but I look at it as one of my mentors called it. It's like building something, right? Like we are building something. It's called a conversation, right? And I don't want to build this house of talk all by myself. I'm not laying all these bricks. You lay a brick. I'll lay a brick. You lay a brick on, and then we do this, right? Anybody who's ever done comedy and who knows improv, it's called yes and. That means you say something and I listen to what you say. I take it in. I affirm it. That doesn't mean I agree with it, but I hear it. I respond to that, and then I add something to it. So now you have something. That's how you have a conversation. It's ping pong. Anthony loves that metaphor of the ping pong, right? I don't want to play ping pong with a wall. I don't want to play with myself. That's boring. I want to play it with someone else, right? And if this man is a terrible ping pong partner or teammate or whatever, how do you think he's going to be in bed with this? Perhaps he'll be a little self-focused, lazy, entitled, right? So that conversation should go back and forth. And I am not the one, him being like, so, and then he answers yes. Or just answers and doesn't ask a question in return. That to me is just like, you're either... I'm also giving some grace for neurodivergence and all that stuff. But if you literally don't care enough to know anything about me, especially after looking at my amazing profile. I had an amazing profile. I will say that with confidence. I heard that regularly, like, oh my God, I've never seen a profile like this. Maybe I will show that to you one day. I think I showed it like a year ago. But don't you dare look at my amazing profile and be like, hey, hi, DTF. No, fuck, I had to literally Google that. Because lazy talker, lazy eater. What? I thought he was giving me shade. Sometimes I'm like, does he understand what I'm saying? I hope not. Any copy and pasted, any hi, any whatever that is not catered specifically to my profile, mentioning something in my profile so that I can know you read it, and not just read my profile, but you also looked at the photos, but I'm sure you looked at the photos because that's the only thing they look at. But if they have not read that profile, they don't mention something in the profile, You failed the first test. And I tell you, every time I gave a man a chance for failing those first critical tests, I always regretted it. Always. I was like, dang it, these men keep proving my point. So, conversation better not be copying. Who's your favorite superhero? If you could be a blah, 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 like literally, if it's not about you, then he didn't read your profile. I promise. It's like a test. It's like a test on a book. Did you read the book? You didn't even read the Cliff's Notes. You literally didn't read anything. You looked at the cover of the book. And now you're pasting some crap you sent to 50 other girls today. So conversation has to flow. And that's the same thing on a date. Because people asked me to talk about this yesterday because I mentioned it in a video. I am not doing a one-woman show for you. And this is really hard. I mean, first of all, a lot of women have been socialized to, weave the social fabric and taught how to carry conversations and do all this stuff. Not all of us are amazing at it, but we are expected to do this. Even the shyest people. I used to be very shy. I've talked about that. I am probably going to make more videos on that. Unbelievably shy. This was a skill set that I have worked on for decades. Learning how to not just talk to people, but really just be confident and outgoing and face my fears and all that stuff. So I could go on dates pretty confidently by the time I actually started seriously dating in my late 30s. Because first of all, I knew myself very well. And I was very proud of the things that I'd already done. So I really knew myself and knew my ability to do all these cool things. And I had a lot to talk about. But what I will not do, especially as literally a professional entertainer, is go on a date and entertain you. Your $12 tacos or whatever is not payment. Because if I did this on stage, well, in the US, I would get nothing for it. But here in France, I would get paid very well for that little performance, that one-woman show, right? Here they actually appreciate art and actually pour money into that, unlike the US. They just exploit all their artists. Anyway, my entertainment is literally so valuable that I charge people, right? I'll just do this for free. Oh, I do on TikTok. But men, you don't get a one person show. And he just sits there and does nothing, adds nothing, asks nothing. And sometimes they'll ask questions just to keep you talking, right? Or the opposite problem, and I've talked about this, they can just go and they talk about themselves. And sometimes they do that because they're nervous and they're trying to impress you. And I understand that. I give grace for that. But if you literally don't ask any questions, and this is not ping pong on some level, either A, I'm doing a one-woman show, or B, you're doing a monologue, and this isn't fun for me. And again, women, especially women who spend money on makeup and nails and hair and pretty dresses and stuff like that. That stuff is a huge investment of time and money and energy. So if men who have not passed, first of all, make sure they pass all those tests on the app itself and talk to you maybe a couple times before you actually go out with them, so you don't waste a whole night of your life and all that money and time and care that you spent, dressing up to look pretty and all that stuff we're expected to do. Then to then go out and this man sucks at conversation. No, thank you. I mean, I did this enough times where I was like, God, what a waste of my night. I could have literally written a chapter of my book in the time that I spent texting, talking, and then actually going out, getting ready, going out, driving, blah, blah, blah. I never want to talk to that person again. I started to see my time as very valuable, and I did not let men take my time or my energy. So if they out of the gates are just being lazy about impressing you, engaging with you, asking about yourself, talking about themselves some too, but literally building that house of conversation and discourse and, making this a fun experience for you or meaningful in some way, you know what I mean? What's the point? Because I promise you, there's 10 other men on that app who would be way more interesting to talk to. You gave it to this clown. Don't settle for boring dudes who make no effort. And they can tell you right out of the gate with their profile and how they talk. And if you weed them out there, you won't waste time in person with these clowns. Let me know if you want more.